Why you should not drink ayahuasca, my story. What's up peeps, Logan Trudell here, and in this video I'm going to talk about why you should not drink ayahuasca. There's a lot of videos on the topic about drinking ayahuasca, and I don't think there's any on the market right now that are doing justice as to how dark and how deep drinking ayahuasca can really get. So this video is primarily to educate people on what could potentially happen if you go too deep into the spiritual community and if you start drinking ayahuasca a lot. This is also going to give a lot of people education on what goes on in these so-called communities and how to avoid any issues if you do choose to drink some ayahuasca. As all of us know, 2020 was a crazy year for the whole entire world. You got a lot of things going on. At that point in my life, I had just quit my job as a registered nurse and I moved to Colombia in South America. Now, I did this for several reasons, but one of the main reasons was I was sick. I had eczema all over my face, all over my body, and I was trying to heal and change what I was doing. So I stumbled upon ayahuasca. I had heard about it, I had researched it, and it's very prominent in South America, in particular Peru and Colombia. There's a lot of indigenous populations in these countries. And for Peru, many of the citizens see ayahuasca as a medicine to use when they need it. Now, where things can get dicey is spirituality is booming. Many people are waking up to the use of psychedelics and their healing potential. But what I have seen is a lot of people are getting sucked into this spiritual, metaphysical universe, and it's hard for them to get out. So in this video, I'm not going to talk so much about what ayahuasca is. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel because I'll make another video on that later. You won't want to miss it. But for now, I'm going to talk about the potential risks of consuming this, and in particular, the risks of the people and the environment that you are going to go to drink this. Now, before I get deep into why you shouldn't drink ayahuasca, I'm going to preface the video with everyone's experience is different. Some people have had amazing experiences. Some people have had terrible ones. Keep this in mind when you're watching the video. This is just my experience and what I've seen. And I'm primarily making this video to protect people from charlatans and potential risks from dark shamans and people that will exploit you for your money. This happened to me. I ended up drinking ayahuasca about 21 times. I went there in a very vulnerable position and just wanted to heal, and I ended up getting sucked into that metaphysical reality, and you can get stuck there. I'm going to cover all this and more in the video, so watch till the end and let's get trippy. All of the points I'm about to cover are pretty much gathered around set and setting. So if the set and the setting are not good, you get eerie feelings about the shaman, the place, the environment, then trust your intuition and don't go. It's better to do a lot of research before just going to some random place. And there's going to be a lot of people that you'll meet who have consumed this. I actually ended up going to a place with a very dark shaman for a long time because a friend recommended him to me and I trusted that friend. If I would have known this stuff, I wish there would have been a video out there that I could have seen before so I could have done my due diligence and researched more, and then I may have had a much better experience. Number one, these places can be very culty. If you get a culty vibe, and I'm not talking Nicolas Cage and the Wicker Man where they're throwing bees on his head, but what you will see is a separation of individuality. Many of the people will dress the same. Another key sign is going to be many of the people have been drinking there forever, for 5-10 years. Now, in South American society, some countries, the people will just go a lot. But this can be a negative sign. If you see people who have drinking 100 cups, 200 cups, what is the shaman telling these people? That they need to keep coming back to keep healing. And if there's anything I learned from being in an ayahuasca cult myself, it's that these people are going to manipulate and use you for your money, and they're going to keep telling you, just keep drinking more ayahuasca, just keep drinking more ayahuasca, just keep drinking more ayahuasca. And before you know it, you're going to be dressed like everyone else, you're going to be singing the same songs, and you're going to be wondering why you're not hanging out with your family and friends anymore, because you're paying all this money to go to ayahuasca ceremonies. This brings me to point number 2. When does the journey end? What I realize is many of the people who start drinking ayahuasca will get completely sucked into this black hole of this metaphysical reality. And if you drink too much of this stuff, you're just going to become a completely different person, very spacey. So something to ask yourself is, when does the journey end? My experience was people in the medicine communities, the shamans in particular, and facilitators, they would just keep telling me that the work is never over. We have to just keep working on healing ourselves and getting better. But I noticed that my close friends and my girlfriend, it was hard for them to tell me this, but they're like, you keep doing this, but you're not changing. And you get this initial big change when you first drink ayahuasca, and it changes your reality, and it can help reprogram negative beliefs, limiting beliefs. It can change your biochemistry for the better. It definitely did for me. I'm not taking that away from it. But when does the healing journey end? Many of these people will keep telling you that you need to keep healing, and that kind of imprints this belief in yourself that something's wrong with you. So I was finally able to stop after my loved ones told me the reality of the situation, that why do you keep doing this? Why do you need to keep putting yourself through all of these ceremonies? Number 3, gaslighting. This is going to be harder to pick up on unless you actually go to the place and watch the behavior. I don't know how many shamans will just let you go there and not drink. Many of them are going to tell you, you're already here, you need to drink, and they're going to kind of pressure you into doing it. I saw this happen many times, but the worst thing that manipulative people will do at these places is they will gaslight you. It's a very strong manipulative tactic used by cult leaders and narcissists, master manipulators, is to tell you that your experience didn't really happen. And the most dangerous thing about ayahuasca is that the shamans and the people giving you the medicine, they're experts, right? They're like your doctors. They have years of experience working with the medicine. So if something happens during your experience that goes bad, they can tell you, look, I've been navigating this for a while, this is what really happened. You're operating with a psychedelic substance, and you're giving the power to someone else, somebody who you are paying money to say, hey, I want your experience and your expertise to help guide me. So if they have negative intentions, they can twist your words, they can tell you what happened, did not happen. And this makes you feel, well, one, you are a victim, but it makes you feel terrible because you're starting to question yourself. And master manipulators use this technique to make you question yourself, so you keep paying them and you're confused. If you are focused and have clarity, then you may not need them. And I saw this in one ceremony where I came out, I was completely coherent, I was making eye contact with other people, and this spirit, this little ball, I don't even know how to explain it. A lot of you are gonna think I'm crazy, but if you've drinking this substance, you know what I'm talking about. If it happened to you, this spirit was flying around the driveway and it was kicking up all these rocks and gravel. And I just tried to ignore it and like go back to lay down, and I could feel it trying to like get inside of me. And I start asking people when everything's said and done about this that happened. I saw them, they witnessed it, they were pointing at it, and I asked them about it, and they just acted like nothing happened. Like they acknowledged that it happened, but they didn't say anything. They're like, oh, don't worry about it. No big deal. Happens all the time. And I was like, whoa. So we're not even gonna talk about this? And it was like a denial of the experience, even though it was pretty clear, and I talked to several people. They confirmed that it happened, but the shaman just brushed it off. Number 4, this is a terrible one. I haven't seen it happen, but it definitely does happen. Sexual abuse, and it's primarily with women. I know in Colombia there have been cases of shamans who have administered the medicine and facilitated ceremony, and they abusing women. And some of them have gone to jail for it. So this is not something to take lightly. If you are a woman, you have to vet the shit out of these places. And to anyone in this video, vet the shit out of these places. But literally talk to 10, 20 people before you just go and do this. If you just talk to your one friend who had a good experience, you're discounting all of these other experiences. And do not trust Google reviews whatsoever, because the place I went to, they have 25-star reviews. And I've talked to several people that have gone to that place and they would never go back. And they're too scared to write a review because of what they think the shaman and the business partner will do. So I wouldn't trust those reviews. I would go directly to the source of people that have gone there through Instagram, find them however you can, and then ask them specific questions pertaining to potential issues and if anything weird was going on. If you need help navigating this, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram at @itslogantrudell and I'll help you out. Number 5, tradition-based medicine. Now, believe me, I left healthcare. I quit my job as a nurse. I don't believe in Western medicine. I think it's very useful in trauma incidences, but for long-term treatment of health, I don't agree with it. That's why ayahuasca really kind of struck a chord with me, is because it's an alternative remedy to healing. Now, this is where the issue comes in. Although there's a lot of corruption in Western medicine, there's also a lot of corruption in ancestral plant medicine. What I've seen happen is, because this is a tradition-based medicine, you can't find any articles online about safe practices for this stuff. You can regarding depression and medication that you shouldn't take, like that information is available. But when it comes down to like people being trained in how the medicine should be delivered and how a shaman should act, all of that is like guerrilla warfare. All of the shamans have different opinions about how things should be done. All of them have different setups. All of them have different ways that they facilitate a ceremony. So if you go to these different places, it could be completely different. And the issue with this is I've seen many shamans say one thing to one person and then to another person they completely change it to fit their narrative. So you can't fact check this stuff. For example, there's a medicine, it's called Combo. It comes from the toxin of a frog in the Amazon, and they burn holes into your skin and apply this substance. One of the shamans tells me, you shouldn't do it more than 12 times in a year. Another shaman says the same thing, and this is about my 12th time doing it. And then I go back to the other shaman and he goes, oh no, it's fine, you can do 14. And I'm like, well, you told me 12 a couple months ago. He's like, oh no, it's fine now. So they can just completely change what they were saying. And if you don't have this kind of dialogue where you caught them doing this, they can do this when you first meet them and you have no idea because they're the expert. Number 6, corruption. This isn't only about money, but there are going to be a lot of places that you'll find, and I'm not going to name any names, but there'll be places where they're charging Western prices. Now, I don't have a problem with this. There's some pretty bougie places that you can go to if that's what you want. I went to a place that was more on the bougie side in Colombia, but the issue here is these people are more focused on money. So if they've raised their prices really high, they kind of have more of a Western mentality. And of course, I'm all about value and you get what you pay for and all this stuff. But if you watch the documentary on Netflix, it's called The Last Shaman. The guy goes to Peru to try and heal, like me. And he goes to all these shamans, and many of them are charlatans. They are doing whatever they can just to make money. And if you can sniff that out, then don't go to that place. Because when shamans charge really, really, really high prices, it kind of says something about their business. Now, I'm all for quality control, but in that documentary, the kid finally finds a shaman where the shaman doesn't charge him anything. He just wants to help him heal. And that was the only shaman in his whole entire experience that really cared about the interest of the patient, the person that came there to try and heal. Instead of just, I'm going to give you a nicer bed, we're going to cook for you, we're going to give you all of these features, and then we can raise the price really high to make a profit off of you. Now, that's not what this should be about. And it can get even darker than that. It can get to the point where shamans are trying to exploit people, manipulate them so they keep coming back. I had a close friend who invited me to go to this place, and I ended up drinking for a long time there, and it was really bad energy. I had brought some friends and they all felt that it was bad energy, but I couldn't really see it. And this shaman was very dark, like did not want what was best for you, wearing a lot of masks. And it's really hard to read these kinds of situations. My girlfriend posted on her Instagram about ayahuasca because she has a lot of followers in South America. And many people responded with like, they went to these big ceremonies with 60 plus people and they could feel the shaman trying to take everything that was good from people. And I know some of you may be thinking like what I'm talking about right now is very woo-woo, but when you dive deep into this world, it can get pretty dark and pretty weird and pretty scary. So this is just my experience. Number 7, it can be addictive. Whoa, shots fired. I know. I just said something that some of you cannot believe, because if you've ever drank in this stuff, you're like, holy fuck, no way I would ever get addicted to that. But this might blow your mind. This is from my own experience. Why are people consuming something that they're going through a lot of pain? I've sat through these ceremonies. I've gone through a lot of pain myself. You feel sick for about 6 hours. You're puking. You're seeing these just ridiculous visuals that are so overwhelming. You can't really do anything. Your body's shaking. You're cold. It feels like you're dying. But people keep going back. I went back 21 times, and none of my experiences were extremely pretty. Like, they were very dark. There was a lot of beauty out of it. But my theory on this, why do people keep going back if it's so bad? 1, the community aspect, aka the cult. 2, it will give you a feeling like you've never had before. If you know anything about the levels of vibrational energy, such as like if you're operating at a very low level, anger, fear, greed, stuff like that, you'll be at a much lower energetic level than someone who is full of love. What I've found in the ayahuasca ceremonies is at the end of the ceremony, when people are on the come down, you're playing music. The music sounds amazing. Everyone's dancing. Everyone's feeling good because you just got out of this really crazy experience. It feels like you're reborn. And that is what people get addicted to. They get addicted to the rush of all the serotonin and dopamine and whatever's going on in the brain. And that's why they keep going back. I know some people who have drank in 40, 50, 60 cups, and they're just living in a completely different reality. The biggest message I want to give you in this whole entire video about what to really be cautious about is getting sucked into this spirituality realm. There's nothing wrong with being spiritual. I meditate. I believe in a higher power, all of this stuff. But when you pedestalize the medicine, ayahuasca, and you pedestalize the shamans, what you do is you give your power away. Many of the people I've talked to who have consumed a lot of it and have gotten out and come back to reality and have stayed grounded and don't really engage in this stuff anymore, they all say the same thing. Don't give your power away to other people. If you give your power away to other people, you're setting yourself up to be scammed, conned, taken advantage of. You have the power to heal yourself. You don't need to keep going back to this powerful substance. I will not take that away. It's a very powerful substance, but you don't need to go back 100 times to heal. If you haven't gotten the message in the first couple ceremonies, then you got to reevaluate some things. Because if you keep going back to that substance, you've just become reliant on it, just like somebody becomes reliant on alcohol. If you want to know more about this topic, I'm going to be posting more videos about this. Go ahead and leave a comment below about what you'd like to hear me talk about, and click that like button. It helps with the algorithm. And if you like this video, go ahead and check out this video over here. Very similar, going to give you an even more in-depth view of what we talked about in this video. Thanks for watching. Talk to you later. And don't get sucked into a cult. Ciao.